Greetings, I'm Patrick Henry. I was born on May 29, 1736 at Hanover County, Virginia on a plantation owned by my mother's family. I got most of my schooling from my dad, who had attended university in Scotland, and my uncle, an Anglican minister. I played the flute and fiddle. At age 15, I ran a store for my father. The business didn't last, and I had my first taste of failure. At age 38, I was selected to serve as a delegate to the Continental Congress in Philadelphia. There I met Sam Adams, and together we stoked the fires for revolution. The following year, I gave my most famous speech. I was one of the attendees of the Virginia Convention in March of 1775. The group was debating how to resolve the crisis with Great Britain. Through force or through peaceful ends, I said my most famous words. Our brethren are Floridians few, why stand we here idle? Is life so dear, or peace so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. A short time after that, the first shots of the war were fired. I left public service. I chose to be a lawyer in a thriving practice. I spent my last years at my estate called Red Hill in Charlotte County, Virginia. In 1799, I was persuaded to run for office. I had switched political parties by this time, becoming a part of the Federalists at the urging of my friend George Washington. I fought for a seat in the Virginia legislature. I won posts, but I didn't live long enough to serve. I died at Red Hill, Virginia, June 6, 1799.
Hello, I'm Thomas Jefferson. I was born on April 13, 1743 in Chapel, Virginia. My dad, Peter Jefferson, was a successful farmer. I studied Latin and Greek at a local school. I was only 9 when I started studying. In June 1776, Congress elected John Adams, Roger Sherman, Benjamin Franklin, Robert Livingston, and I to draft a Declaration of Independence. The committee chose me to write the Declaration of Independence. It took me 17 days to get a good draft. Finally, I wrote a good draft. After drafting the Declaration of Independence, I returned to Virginia. I served from 1776 to 1779 as a member of the Virginia House of Delegates. I was elected President of the United States of America in 1801. I served for 8 straight years. I sent Lewis and Clark to Western U.S. territory. In 1803, I made the Louisiana Purchase. It nearly doubled the size of America. I died in Montecello on July 4th, 1826. It was the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
Hi, I am Ethan Allen. I was born on January 22nd, 1738. When I was 22, I worked in an iron factory in Vermont. In 1750, I married Mary Brownson. A few years later, I fought in the French and Indian War. After the war, a few years later then, the Revolutionary War started. During the war, I captured a fort and captured 9,000 possessions. Then the British took me. Then they released me. The following day, I moved back to Vermont and was elected leader of Green Mountain Boys. For my return to Vermont, I was promoted lieutenant general. Then in 1781, I died in Vermont.
Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. My name is Betsy Ross. I was born on January 1st, 1752. I was the 8th child out of 17. My birth name is Elizabeth Griscom. At age 17, I found John Ross and quickly fell in love. We married outside the strict limits in 1772, so we were both expelled from our families. In the American Revolution, John was killed by a gunpowder explosion. After he was killed, I started making American flags for Pennsylvania. I married a nice, honest man by the name of Joseph Ashburn, a sailor. In 1781, the ship he was on was captured by those rude lobsterbacks, and he died. In 1783, I married for the last time, and he died too. My life was filled with struggles most people were impressed with. I made that famous American flag in June of 1776 after a visit from my dear friend George Washington, Robert Morris, and my husband's uncle George Ross. That flag kept those American soldiers going. I set a good example of widowhood, single motherhood, managing a household and property, and quickly remarrying for economic reasons. After the war ended, I died on January 30th, 1836, at age 84. I am still very famous for what I had done in the American Revolution.
Hi, I'm George Rogers Clark. I am the second kid of 9 kids. My mom and dad was John and Jane Rogers. I had 4 sisters and 5 brothers. We had a 400-acre farm. When my dad died, he left that land to me. In 1757, I sold my land and moved to a small plantation. I didn't receive much schooling. In 1770, my little brother William was born. Returning home from Virginia, I saw fighting intensified between the settlers and the Indians. Gathering men at Redstone Old Fort on the Mongolia River, I embarked 175 men in the mid-1778s. Moving down the Ohio River, we captured Fort Massac at the mouth of the Tennessee River, before moving overland to take Kaskaskia on July 4th. Cahokia was captured 5 days later as I moved back east, and a detachment was sent to occupy Vincennes on the Washington River.
Oh, didn't notice it. My name is Jon Jay. I was born on December 12, 1745, in New York City. I spent my childhood in Rye, New York. I went to King's College. I had established myself as a successful lawyer by the time that troubles with Great Britain and calls for independence erupted in the colonies. I joined Benjamin Franklin in Paris, France, where we negotiated an end to the Revolutionary War with the Treaty of Paris in 1783. I became a supporter of separation and attempted to move New York toward that cause. I served on the committee to detect and defeat conspiracies which monitored British actions. I represented the Continental Congress in 1774. After the Revolution, I served as the second Secretary of Foreign Affairs from 1784 to 1789. I also served as Secretary of the State until March 22, 1790. I established a strong and durable American foreign policy. I was the second governor of New York. I helped write the Constitution during the war in 1776. I was the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court in New York on 1789 to 1791. I sadly died on May 14, 1829 in Bedford, New York.
Hi, my name is Phyllis Whaley. I was born in West Africa on May 8, 1753. I was captured and brought to Massachusetts on a slave ship in 1760. I was 7 years old when I was brought to Massachusetts. I was educated by my master's wife. When I was 12, I published my first poem. When the American Revolution started, I wrote patriotic poems. One of my poems got praised by George Washington. I supported the Americans with my poems. During the American Revolution, I continued to write poems. I wrote one specific poem called To His Excellency George, commending his achievements. I was successful at what I did. After the American Revolution, I continued to write poems. But other than that, I didn't really do anything after the Revolution. I died in Boston, Massachusetts on December 5th, 1784 at age 31.
I'm Ham Selman.
I was born on April 7, 1740 in Lesno, Poland. My parents were driven out of the Iberian Peninsula by Semitic laws enacted by the Spanish monarch and settled in Lisa, a part of Poland. It was probably during the 1760s that I traveled to Europe. By the time I reached the British, I learned to speak in several languages. I was able to find a job as a broker commission agent for ships plying the Atlantic. I was active in a secret group called the Sons of Liberty, which had been established by men with business interests who were opposed to British rule. For reasons unknown, I was arrested by the British and charged for spying in September 1776. My ability to speak older languages caused my captors to place me with a German general named Hiester. At the time, the German state of Hesse allowed its soldiers to serve as mercenaries as a revenue-creating measure. These troops, known as Hessians, were in North America to support British rule. As an interpreter for Hiester, I was allowed a relatively high degree of freedom. I contributed to the American Revolution caused by persuading Hessians to switch sides. After the Revolution, I had a wife and had 3 kids under the age of 7 and a fourth on the way. My estate was valued at $44,000, but had debt on it of $45,000. Not long after my death, my chief clerk, who could have been helpful in fixing problems with my money issues with the family debt, committed suicide. Attempts were made by my family trying to fix problems, but things happened that prevented this. I died on January 6, 1785 in Philadelphia when I was 45 years old.